In the red corner, the pride of British boxing, standing at 6 foot 3 inches tall and weighing in at 224 pounds of pure London muscle. It's the one and only Frank Bruno. Frank would be coming into this fight aged just 24 years old and one of the hottest heavyweight prospects in the world of boxing. Bruno would step into the roped four walls, not the champion, but the #1 heavyweight challenger in the world. Pacing up and down in the opposite corner would be the heavyweight champion, all the way from the mean streets of Philadelphia. It's the terrible Tim Witherspoon. The champ would stand slightly taller than Bruno and outweighing him also, coming in at 235 pounds. But it was evident to see who had put in the work in the weights gym, with Frank's bodybuilder-like physique up against Tim's not-so-in-shape frame. Frank would be the betting favourite and the hometown champion too, with the fight being held at the legendary arena of the England football team, Wembley Stadium, just around the corner from where Bruno was born. The fight represented more than just a heavyweight boxing match. It was set to bring back the heavyweight world championship for the first time in nearly 100 years to the British shores. Could Frank pull his socks up and land big on the American champion, or would Frank be just another British champion, hyped with a domestic knockout record for the ages?
Good evening. You're about to see the battle that raged in the small hours of this morning between Frank Bruno and Tim Witherspoon for the WBA World Heavyweight crown. It was a dramatic encounter full of courage and power.
The fight was the bout between Tim Witherspoon and Frank Bruno, two heavyweights whose careers intersected at a pivotal moment in the 1980s. Their encounter was not only a clash of styles and skills, but also a product of circumstances. The fight had every British boxing fan and their grandmother sat on edge before they even stepped into the ring.
And all the flag wagging that was going on.
Frank Bruno, a fighter who was one of the most popular and marketable heavyweights of his time, especially in the United Kingdom. Bruno's rise was built not just on his fighting ability, but also his charismatic personality and his broad appeal. Known for his muscular physique and powerful punches, Bruno was seen as a potential world champion in the making, especially after his knockout victory over American heavyweight contender James Tillis earlier in the year. However, Bruno's career was not without its struggles. Despite his popularity, he had always been dogged by questions about his ability to compete with the best in the world. Bruno had faced a setback in his career, having undertaken a shock loss to Bonecrusher Smith just 18 months before. This defeat had created doubts about whether Bruno could ever make it to the top and whether he had the mental fortitude to succeed at the highest level. Despite these questions, Bruno remained a fan favourite. His rugged style and impressive knockout power ensured that he was always a threat in the heavyweight division, and he was determined to prove the naysayers wrong. A victory over Tim Witherspoon, who was seen as a technically superior fighter, would not only silence those doubts, but also solidify his name in boxing history.
Here, current champion Tim Witherspoon takes it out on one of his team, much to the delight of the spectators invited daily to watch him spar. A power pack of black muscle, members of his camp, loosen up in the wings to put him through his paces.
Tim Witherspoon, a product of the back alleys of Philadelphia, had an unassuming rise to boxing stardom. Known for his mental struggles and gritty fighting style, Witherspoon was not the most flamboyant boxer of his time, but had the ring IQ to withstand the test of time. His career was marked by hard work, steady progress, and a reputation for being a tough, durable fighter. Before facing Bruno, Witherspoon had already made a name for himself in the heavyweight division, especially after winning the WBC and WBA heavyweight titles by defeating the hard-hitting Greg Page and Tony Tubbs. Witherspoon's skill set was grounded in his boxing fundamentals, which made him a dangerous opponent for anyone in the heavyweight division. He was known for his jab and his ability to endure adversity. However, despite his technical prowess, Witherspoon's career up to that point had been characterized by a lack of consistency, and he had failed to capitalize on his early success. This left him in the shadow of other heavyweight champions of the era, such as Larry Holmes and Kid Dynamite.
The Witherspoon camp ooze extravagant confidence and are dedicating this fight, slightly perversely, to Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson.
I give him 7 rounds. If it go longer than that, then he's even better than I expected.
Nonetheless, when the opportunity arose to fight Frank Bruno, Witherspoon saw it as a chance to reassert himself on a global stage and prove that his previous victories were not flukes. His reputation was on the line and he knew that a victory over Bruno, the number one contender and at the time the rising star in European boxing, would not only see him with a big name on his record but a cool $1 million on the back burner. It's safe to say this fight had a lot riding on it.
Bruno said he didn't like the champ's flashy lifestyle. Witherspoon hit back, saying he'd make Bruno eat his words. Britain's world heavyweight contender Frank Bruno and the reigning champion Tim Witherspoon had a verbal punch-up today when they came face-to-face for the first time.
Fight night and Britain's biggest boxing crowd would be out in force. With the fight pushed back to the early hours, the attendees would be boozed up to the eyeballs and gunning for a Bruno win. Wembley Stadium would host boxing legends in the ring, with Sir Henry Cooper coming face to face with the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali. A nod to the last time a Brit stepped up to face an American champion for the title. Frank would come to the ring first in what I would say was one of the greatest entrances of all time, the iconic red robe surrounded by the Metropolitan Police Force providing security for the hometown champion. Next would see Tim walk, battling through a hostile crowd, throwing all manner of things his way. Waving a small flag of his home country, he would be met in the ring by his rotten-to-the-core promoter, Don King. We joined the fighters in the first round with our old friend Harry Carpenter on the commentary.
A quick, aggressive start by Witherspoon, and Bruno goes for the belly. Has a reputation of being an awkward, mauling type of fighter, and he might try to get close. That's a good jab from Bruno. He has some 6 inches in reach. Spoon, after the initial onslaught, slowed down a little. Good punch to the body from Witherspoon. To get inside for a moment. Again, the left hook on the right from Witherspoon. Good attack by Bruno. Witherspoon's covered up, shows. And Witherspoon is finding Bruno. Good left hook downstairs from Bruno. He's moving well. Good combination by Bruno. Witherspoon will do a lot of this. Witherspoon's blowing already at the end of the first round, and he winks at Bruno.
Well, can I just say they don't make fighters like they used to? I cannot remember the time I witnessed such pace in the first round of a heavyweight title fight. Frank would start well, looking to use the thunderous left hook of his, but Witherspoon would take everything well and move back to his corner with the knowledge that Frank was up for a scrap.
Never been put down as a pro, never stopped. He can take a punch. By that first left hand. And Bruno's mixing his punches well to head and body. And Witherspoon, an angry attack. Witherspoon dangerous with a swinging right hand. Bruno's most... He's showing a maturity here, which I don't think I've quite seen before. Another right-hand bomb from Bruno on the top. Round 2. Really going for him. That's a good right from Bruno. And Witherspoon staggers. Have to work.
Harry Carpenter would call it well when he said Bruno would be showing his maturity in the second round. Frank would have his man right where he wanted him towards the end of the round, with the big American losing his balance momentarily and looking out punched by the muscular Brit.
And Witherspoon comes out open-mouthed again. Good punches, good attacks by Bruno, taking the initiative. Witherspoon trying to keep the points coming with the jabs. Good left hook from Witherspoon. Good right, and that hurt Bruno. They mean business. His mouth looking a little sore. Bruno's mouth is cut, I think. Bruno putting in some of his... not giving. And what a challenge Bruno is putting up for this championship. He's got the champion on the ropes. Two good punches. Bruno looking a little puzzled at the moment. He's hit him with good punches and he hasn't gone. Combination attack by Bruno, who takes the punches, he comes inside. What a furious battle this is.
The third round would see a third straight round for the challenger. Bruno would pick his shots and land well. On the front foot, this Grenadier Guard would march on as if the title had his name on it. But true to Witherspoon's nature, the champion wasn't about to roll over and make this an easy night in London.
Way close on 33 stone. Witherspoon's in trouble on the ropes under a big attack from Bruno. Remember, Witherspoon gave Larry Holmes a really hard world title fight in his earlier days. Good at him punch. He's so hard to get at. And Bruno can't get leverage for. He prefers it close in.
Round 4 would bring more from the challenger. Bruno had never been in with a champion of Witherspoon's calibre. But he was doing more than holding his own, throwing combinations and roughing the American up on the ropes. The champion would take Frank's shots and ask for more. A nod not to his ring IQ, but more to his ability to take punishment and recover instantly.
Fair to say that Bruno's taken down. You can hardly wonder at it. Now the action slows a little. They gather their breath. Good left from Witherspoon. If Bruno can get his jab going and keep it going solidly in Witherspoon's face. Philadelphia. The great ringing cry for Bruno comes up from these 40 or 50,000 people singing its head off. Good right downstairs again. Looks as though he's trying to work out exactly what he should do here, but he's taking an awful lot of belts to the body that Bruno puts in his face.
Bruno was visibly throwing less, and Witherspoon started to take advantage of his slower pace, landing some more clean shots. Witherspoon was using his jab more effectively, and Bruno's aggression seemed to be dying down a bit. Bruno, however, was still landing some solid right hands, and both fighters exchanging heavy punches near the end of the round.
I've got him dead level. Bruno's got to keep him backed up. Big swinging attack again by Witherspoon. Who's early on. Now he's coming on through him. A little more damage. But still boxing. He's such a hard man to get with a good solid punch.
That last round would see some great exchanges from both fighters. Witherspoon's movement and head movement were making it difficult for Bruno to land clean shots, and he started to assert himself, but Frank's sniper-like jab would break through just when you least expect it.
It's already gone further than a lot of people expected. Bruno badly now needs the sort of... He really doesn't, to be fair, he doesn't look like a good world champion with his, but he's far too wild and wide with his punches. Wild with his right hands. It's very... His left hook is a better... Good attack by Bruno. Ahead, round 7. These are uncomfortable moments for the British, with perhaps a slightly better attack. And he's hurting Bruno with punches to the... And Bruno brings 2 good punches out of the bag when he most needed them. These two are going to go on like this till one of them drops. Not too much in the punches of Bruno now. By too many head punches. Not a good round for Bruno.
The 7th round would bring danger for Bruno. Tim Witherspoon would just step it up a gear and take Frank into waters he had never been before. But Frank would use the home crowd to his advantage and finish off every exchange of punches with the last laugh. A quick peck on the cheek from Terry Lawless and it would be back to business for the 8th round.
Left eye, a mouse, it's called in the trade, showing quite visibly. And it's threatening to do that. That will be a very, very big stage. And Witherspoon's work has slowed down. Round 8. Good right from Witherspoon over the top. Witherspoon storming through again. Bruno trying to get inside. Now Bruno has to stand off and try and get a good shot at him, which he's finding hard. But what a fight he's putting up. And Witherspoon's coming storming on again in the 8th round. To Bruno now, he's not really punching with any weight. He's just trying to keep the man away from the big punch. And he puffs hard and he looks at...
Witherspoon's boxing was looking sharper and Bruno was showing signs of exhaustion. The 8th round was more competitive, with both fighters exchanging blows, but Witherspoon was able to avoid the worst of Bruno's attacks while landing more often. Bruno's lack of stamina started to show more clearly in this round.
Back they come into this hard, almost savage heavyweight championship and grueling battle of strength and determination. 2 good punches from Bruno. Now, if he can still bring those out of the bag, he's in. Staring at Bruno as though he's not really looking at him, but looking way through him at something else. And again, Bruno takes it well, comes inside, hangs on, and fights back. It's under attack again. He turns his man well. What a good move, and Witherspoon's shaking his head as though he doesn't like it. Looking at the referee. Witherspoon suddenly looks desperately uncomfortable. And the crowd sense it too. Up comes the great Bruno chant. Witherspoon trying to fight his way desperately off those ropes, looking at the referee again and again. That's a good punch from Witherspoon. And there's the bell to end the round.
The 9th round would see a gallant effort from both fighters. Bruno wasn't going to leave this opportunity to fate. He wanted his man out of there, sharpish, but the champion would prove his worth on every exchange. Every time Frank would throw a punch, Tim would connect harder.
So here we are in the 10th. Good right and left from Witherspoon. Oh. Again, Witherspoon comes back with the champion's assault after he's taken a good punch. Looking at the referee again. The 10th. Better, I think, than almost anybody I've ever seen. No wonder he's never been down as a pro. Bruno's left eye looking in some trouble. Witherspoon shaking his head again, mounting another big, furious attack. Absolutely punching themselves out on each other. Once again,
who remembered Bruno versus Witherspoon being such an inside battle. If this fight was held in the modern day, it would go down in sporting history as one of the greatest fights of all time. It had everything. Two rival boxing nations, two heavyweights who left nothing in the round, and the biggest boxing crowd Great Britain had ever summoned.
Well, not many people imagined it would ever get this far. Ever happens. Good punches from Witherspoon. Witherspoon comes forward again. Plants that big left hook into the stomach of Bruno. In the 11th. These two men have had a tough fight. And believe me, it's all they can do to keep going now at this stage. Himself in this fight. And he's under a terrible attack in a neutral corner. And he's going to go down. Witherspoon's got him in the 11th round, and Bruno goes over and Witherspoon.
The 11th round would break a young Frank Bruno's heart and the millions of fans watching in. But Frank Bruno would come again.